Hello beautiful souls and welcome back to my channel. Welcome for another pick card reading. So as you can see today we don't have piles, we don't have crystals to pick from because you're going to be picking from these pictures I will put on the screen just now. I will edit it. I still have not chosen these pictures, but I will by the end of this reading. I kind of wanted to go blindly within this without any sort of imagery to influence me. I wanted to channel the messages first and pick the images after that. So what we're going to do today, as you can probably tell by the title of this reading, is we're going to tune into your galactic family. So I have chosen the Lyrans because obviously you can see the name of my channel. The Lyrans, the Andromedans, the Orions, and the Sirians. So Lyra is going to be pile number 1, Andromeda is going to be pile number 2, Orion is number 3, and Sirius is pile number 4. So for the first portion of this reading, which will be here on YouTube, I'm going to ask messages from your respective galactic families. What do you need to know right now? What's going on with you? How do you live your life as close as possible to your starseed blueprint? So you came on this planet to live in a certain way. You came here not just to live in a certain way, but to make it possible to pave a path to live a certain kind of life. That's what starseeds are. They are way showers. They live a life different from the ordinary, and sometimes even if you have the traditional job or a relationship, in other aspects of your lives you will live differently from other people. So you're here to have this extraordinary life. And how do you do that? How can you bring this lifestyle blueprint, this starseed blueprint here on earth, and how can you live it and be it? That is my question for today, and for each of you this will be different. So that's what we're going to focus on here on YouTube. And of course I'm going to touch on things such as your relationships, career, health, spirituality, because those things tie into your lifestyle, right? And then in an extended portion of this reading that you can book on my coffee, there will be links under each timestamp for the piles. So for each pile, so for example the Lyrans, you will get an extended portion where we're diving into your akashic records on that particular world, planet, dimension, whatever you want to call it, with those particular beings. So the Lyrans, the Orions, the Andromedans. And keep in mind that each pile, so the Lyrans, you will get akashic records of your past lives on Lyra and not the other 3. So according to which pile you picked, that's what you're gonna get, as in the questions I'm going to ask for each extended portion with the akashic records. So I think that this is gonna be a really cool reading. I think this might be a long one, so please prepare to listen to this for a long time. And I don't mind if you put me on 2.0 speed. That's okay, because I know that sometimes I can get slow with how I deliver my messages, but I really wanted to do this for quite some time, and I've been feeling out the energies and just kind of preparing to be in the right mental space, because these readings are a bit more taxing on me, because they're more elevated, let's say. So this is what we're doing today. I'm very excited. I hope you are as well. Again, take a look at these pictures that have been probably on the screen up until now, and you can choose the picture that resonates with you the most, no matter what galactic family you associate with. But I highly recommend to go with your galactic family. So let's get started with pile number 1, my Lyrans. So hello Lyrans, starseeds, welcome to your reading. So exciting. Now let's see, how do you live your starseed blueprint here on earth? I have prepared many decks, multiple decks, so it might take me a little bit to pick and choose which one I want to begin with. I think I'm gonna go very obvious with the Starseed Oracle. I just want to get out some general energies. How do you live your Starseed blueprint here on Earth, Lyrans? Wow, okay, my head literally started tingling. I don't think this has ever happened, to be honest. It's a very weird sensation. So it seems to me that the Lyrans are encouraging you to work a lot on your crown chakra, and there's something about the back of your head to trust. If you get this like tingling sensation, to trust that if you feel a presence around you or something going on, you are on point. Probably your claircognizance is your most developed psychic gift. So you just know things. You don't really have to read about something or, you know, hear the stats and the facts. You know, you have this intuitive knowing. And of course, sometimes you will know something intuitively that reality denies, but you know it's the truth, and maybe later down the road you find out it was indeed the truth, but people were not ready to discover that kind of truth. That's how claircognizance works. So, Lyran Starseeds, how can you live your divine Starseed blueprint here on Earth? What kind of life did you come to pave? We have, interesting, we have jump in, Andromedan energy, adventure, say yes to change. So because I'm picking the Starseed deck and I have a couple of more galactic Starseed-ish decks, I'm not going to necessarily go into your Starseed origins or anything like that, because in these decks, any galactic system, any star system can pop up. Any, you know, star family can pop up through the cards. So if you resonate with the Andromedans, that is great, but I'm not gonna go into that. So obviously some of you may have Andromedan ties in as well. So jump in, Andromedan energy, adventure, say yes to change. So it looks to me that a lot of you are here on Earth to break free or to show humanity, pave a path of how we can break free from very earthly, very traditional, very long established, traditions, rules, systems of how to live life. You are definitely here. Many of you might have south nodes in earth signs, especially south node in Capricorn, south node possibly in Libra, because Saturn is exalted in Libra, and Libra energy is all about diplomacy and all of that, but it's also about social, being socially acceptable, being socially appropriate. So that's why Saturn is exalted in Libra. Libra kind of follows the rules. It's about justice and fairness, but you're here to go against the rules. You're here to follow your own moral code, and this may sound a little controversial, but your moral code may not fall within the traditional expectations. It may not fall within the kind of family you come from, or, you know, within that framework that people would expect from someone from such a family, or again, socioeconomic class, racial ethnicity, and so on and so forth. You are definitely here to break through that status quo. What was expected out of you, especially as a child, you're not here to live that. You're not here to live that. You're here to march to the beat of your own drum, basically, to do whatever you want to do. And especially to be adventurous. So maybe you're here to overcome some amount of rigidity, whether this is imposed by your external environment or you impose this on yourself. You're here to overcome this kind of rigidity and again be more of a risk taker, a bit more adventurous and playful, and see where that playfulness takes you. we have wait, it's not time yet, things are being woven. So I feel like you know that this is the kind of life you're supposed to live, what we were talking about so far. But again, I think you have some strong Saturn placements to work with and potentially even overcome. Now, I will say something and forget that I've ever said it, but I'm gonna say it. Astrology is experienced by all of us differently. So, astrology influences us all. But we express it and experience it a little bit differently. So, some of us experience astrology the way it is traditionally taught. Saturn is what you need to learn. You know, it's what you need to master and be patient and take time with, and so on and so forth. And I'm giving the example with Saturn because this is what we're talking about here. But others of us will experience astrology a little bit different, which is if Saturn represents the matrix, the concept of time that really makes us feel stuck. If Saturn represents a loop, right? And if you're aware of those things, Saturn in your natal chart is not necessarily gonna be, oh, it's just what you're learning and what you're mastering, and if you learn those lessons, Saturn will reward you. If you exit or if you want to live on the edge of the matrix, maybe not completely outside of it, but a little bit, 1 foot out, 1 foot in, Saturn will be, oh, these are the restrictions I'm here to overcome. Saturn will not be, this is the lesson I'm here to learn. And I'm saying this as in, I'm saying it and you should forget that I've ever said it, because I don't know where everyone is, right? And sometimes I myself don't know where I am with what kind of astrology I experience. And it's a journey, and it's about, again, learning a lot about yourself, but knowing your astrology can help you navigate life, and you can interpret it on multiple levels. So because so much Saturnian energy is coming through here, and because this message is coming for you here, I think that wherever you have Saturn in your charts, for some of you, if you resonate with this, it will not be, yeah, this is what you need to master and learn. Because mastering and learning, you do this under a teacher, and Saturn, for some of us, can be a teacher, but for others of us, it can be an oppressor. So, I think that some of you are here to reject your Saturn. Because it is the lesson and the loophole and the Ouroboros, in a way, that keeps you stuck in a more material life, a denser life experience that maybe in the past, working with Saturn, learning his lessons and being a good student helped you. You felt like it elevated you, but maybe it no longer does. Maybe the more you try, the more stuck you are. And I will do very soon, I think, so I have a couple of things in mind, but I wanted to Saturn through the signs and houses and what is your lesson. And I'm going to add a little bit of a spin to this. So watch out for this video where I'm going to talk about how each sign in each house, what is the lesson that, you know, you're here to learn to live more elevated life, and Saturn will reward you. But if you want to go beyond Saturn, if you feel like you are ready to do that, and live outside of the matrix, or at that border, at that edge of the matrix, then what is it that you need to overcome that Saturn oppresses you with? Okay, so, but I'm getting that many of you have the relationship with where Saturn does not teach you, it oppresses you. And maybe that is going to be a key to how can you step into a more lively experience. Does this make sense? Like, not dense, slow, material, repetitive experience, but something that makes you feel, oh, I am alive. I'm actually living here on Earth. So we have wait, and I feel like Saturn, for many of you, has been saying, wait, you're not ready to go beyond me yet, because sometimes we're not just ready. Because when you try to learn information you're not ready for, psychosis happens. So tread this edge very carefully. But for some of you, this wait means wait because you still have a little bit to learn before you can get into your starseed blueprint, all right? But for most of you, this wait is more of a stop, I don't want you to escape type of energy. And maybe those of you who resonate with this message, you have felt this. So I'm going to ask, how can you overcome this in this reading? Don't worry, I'm just saying that I'm gonna go into Saturn more in depth in like another video. All right, the great severing. Oh my gosh, I love this because just these words, the great severing, feels like cutting a cord. It feels like you're cutting your cord to this matrix. Okay, Paiwan, I love this. The great severing, Mars energy, anger, conflict, softening to love. So that's it. Now, in order to live into your starseed blueprint, you need to shift out, and many Lyran souls are warriors. And Orion souls, many of them too, but especially Lyrans, they feel like warriors. That feline energy of predator but also protector runs very deep into the Lyran souls, and many of them have some experience that they survived. That's how they frame it in their psyche, and that survival mode, they get stuck in it. So with this Mars energy here, whenever you sense the oppressor, whenever you sense the boundaries, the weight of the matrix, you get into warrior mode. You wanna swing a magical sword or like an imaginary metaphorical sword and fight against the grain and fight against the odds. But the thing is, this puts you into a conflict with the universe. So when you're fighting the world that you live in, instead of reshaping it, okay, so let's say you feel like the world is against you, and let's say that world, that's the matrix, right? The matrix is against you and you wanna fight against it, but suffering to love tells you, shift your perception of the world. Are you in this enslaving matrix, or can you shift into a frequency, into a reality? And reality shifting can be very subtle, okay? We can live with people who live one reality and we live another. So can you shift your whole idea that, oh, it's not the matrix against me because I don't live in a matrix. It's not that life is against me or this reality is against me. I live in a wondrous reality, actually. So when you shift that perception, you no longer have to fight to get what you want. It will naturally come to you because it's the world or reality that you live in. So for a lot of you, you are here to be way showers, pave this path of, you live a life that maybe seems impossible to other people, but you're here to show them that it is possible, and you don't achieve it through obeying the rules that enslaved you. You achieve it by transcending the rules. you don't even achieve it by fighting against these rules, because when you fight against it, you only affirm that they when you fight against them, you affirm that they exist and that they keep oppressing you, and you get stuck in survival mode, and that wrecks your nervous system, but that's not another topic. But when you shift your mindset that this is not the world you live in, that's when you really start seeing this magic lights. Okay, so with the great severing, you need to cut this umbilical cord to where you come from. And this applies to, of course, family background and all of that, but even just because you were born in one kind of world does not mean you have to continue living in the same world. So this is the Saturn Cancer axis, right? With Saturn, which in Capricorn, in Cancer, the moon, you can either obey Saturn, and Saturn will dictate the kind of environment, home, family, the kind of things you associate your roots to, Cancer. Saturn will dictate what Cancer is all about. Or you can transcend Saturn and realize that you are Cancer, the moon, you are the mother, the creator, the one from which this reality will come. So instead of being birthed into the reality, you realize that you are creating it, okay? And it's also this shift from Cancer toward Leo, from the moon toward the sun, from this is where I hail from, I am stuck in this, to I am free of my roots, I'm transcending them. That's what has to happen here, transcending family, roots, and the whole concept you have on the world based on where you were born, who birthed you, who created you, and so on and so forth. And a huge mental shift here is that you are your own creator. You are your own creator, and based off of that, you're the creator of your reality. So I know that those messages are very abstract. We're gonna get more down to earth, don't worry. Let's keep going. Oops. Come on, I can't shuffle them. Woo. Look at that. Saturn in Cancer, charity. This is crazy. And moon in Libra, which the moon, again, Libra is exalted. Saturn is exalted in Libra, and we have the moon in here, which is very, very strange. So we have the 4th house, the 7th house. Okay. You have a lot of transcending to do when it comes to relationships. And Mars, this is crazy. All the energies we spoke of came through. Mars in Gemini, decision. Okay. Now here you can dial up that speed of the video, because I will take some sweet time here with these cards. It's interesting how we have the chessboard. So the chessboard, again, the checkerboard, is very Saturnian, because it once more establishes this whole idea of there are rules to be followed. If you are this row, you can move only here and here and there and there. Those are the only places you can go. So with Mars and decisions, if you make quick decisions, you're only going to consider what is possible according to who you are. So I am this person, and those are the only possibilities for me, right? But these other people, they have other possibilities, maybe better possibilities. So to live your starseed blueprint, Lyrans, you have to, again, go beyond the checkerboard. Now, I said that it's funny and interesting we have a checkerboard because I recently we visited Milan, and in this one museum there was a chessboard, right? But every square was a different color and every figurine was a different color, which insinuated that anything can go anywhere, right? Anyone can be anything, anyone can go anywhere. Coloring it differently than black and white, going beyond duality and extremes, which, by the way, both Gemini and Libra rule as air signs. It's all about black and white. Libra is all about fairness, justice, and morals, and to do that, you have to consider that there is a right and wrong. Gemini, on the other hand, is, again, very dualistic in nature, but Gemini considers, in the in-between. But because it's the twins, let's not get into it. Let's just assume that Gemini is also very, very dualistic. So it's interesting how you have these two dualistic energies, black and white. Black and white in the relationships, black and white in decision and thinking. So maybe that's how you see people. Maybe you see people in boxes, and because of that you see yourself in a box. So in order to start seeing yourself outside of the box, you have to realize there are people outside of the box, or interact with people who are outside of the box. That will be very important. And then we have Saturn in Cancer, charity. It almost feels like, and maybe you will also sense this, if you stay where you know you're not meant to, like you're meant for something greater but you're making yourself smaller, it's almost like you're doing charity for the people who see things as black and white, for the people who cannot and do not want to transcend the checkerboard, the chessboard. Don't do charity for people, Lions, okay? There is definitely some kind of soul contract here, whether this is a romantic partner, a family member, a friend that is like super close. This is a very intimate soul contract that I'm sensing here, someone very close to you, but they might be on the chessboard and they might be a pawn on the chessboard, and you have to, some of you will have to let them go. For others of you, it is possible that this is a career contract, and it's almost like, this kind of career contract keeps you stuck in this matrix. It doesn't let you leave it. Seems like you have agreed to something, but I'm getting the time is ticking. Something, you have agreed to something, but it's about to end soon, or again, the time is ticking, the contract will be no more, it will be finished, completed soon, and you will be able to move free out of this situation. I am hearing, I don't know why, I'm staring at this figure and it's probably not her, but I am hearing Hera from Greek mythology. I think she was Zeus's wife. I'm not sure though. But I think she was Zeus's wife. Please read upon Hera and her myth a little bit, and just stories about her. But if it's her, if this I mean, if Hera is his wife, if I remember correctly, I think I remember that, I know this, that Zeus was like sleeping around with all sorts of mythical creatures and beings and people. But if I remember correctly, that Hera was his wife indeed, I think she stayed with him. Like, she would get angry and curse some of these people to turn into different animals, things like that. But she would stay with him, which, is, of course, she shouldn't. And the fact that I'm getting Hera like coming through, although we have no imagery of her, but just this figure reminded me for some reason of her. And let me tell you, this is a goddess that I barely think of or have read about, so it's, to me, it's very specific that she's coming through. And we have this woman with these two children leaving a castle or a building. The angels are kind of propelling her to keep going. I think that some of you might indeed be in romantic relationships that do not allow you to live out your starseed blueprint. And if you don't resonate with this message, please don't get paranoid about it. But if you do, you will know. Some of you might be the heroes of the world. Some of you might be okay with many things because you benefit one way or another from those things, but you're making sacrifices that you should not be making, no matter the benefits. Like, the benefits do not outweigh what is being taken from you when you stay in those relationships, entertain those people, etc., or stay in those contracts. Now I'm gonna try and get a bit more specific. But actually, I'm gonna use another deck before I get into this one. And I will ask, because relationships are coming through, I will ask about, relationships in general. Like, what do the Lyrans have to tell you about your love life? If you are living in accordance to your higher self and to your starseed blueprint. Anything else you need to know about love here? Because actually lots of messages came through about love, but anything else about your starseed blueprint and your romantic relationships? How is your starseed blueprint affected by them? We have Four of Cups. Interesting. I wonder if you guys I wonder if you guys had opportunities to move into healthier relationships, but those seemed boring to you, or you rejected those opportunities. The Emperor. Yeah, it looks like I'm seriously getting this strong oppressive energy here, again with Saturn. Again, the Emperor is ruled by Aries and Mars. I feel like some of you might have left someone behind, and then they come back to you, and you get back with them. This is gonna be a pattern that you will most likely have to overcome. And another thing that I'm getting here, it's very important that you guys are in relationships where this person finds you interesting, because with the Four of Cups we have this like boredom, disinterest, and yet we have this Emperor, which is usually a card of like the ego, the self, someone who's very obsessed with themselves. And I wonder if you're with people who are so into themselves that they cannot be into you, and they pour so much into themselves that they can never pour into you. You have to be with someone who, again, finds you interesting, who does not think that you're boring, you know? Because also Lyrans, I mean, that feline imagery that can be associated with Leo is not random. Many Lyrans are usually very creative, and very, they want to express themselves. And if people dismiss your expression, Lyrans, those are not your people. Ten of Pentacles. Maybe you have invested a lot in this relationship. That's why you're with this person, or again, maybe there's something financial going on between the two of you, business contract, something, and you have to stay with them. But you see, there is a knife across her belly. What you had to do, what you had to sacrifice for this to get anywhere, for this relationship to, you know, give some results, or for you to be business partners, and so on and so forth. A lot of my Lyran starseeds watching this will benefit from healing the womb, doing work with the womb, meditations focusing on that, any herbal or physical therapy that you can do on that as well will be very, very, very helpful. But it feels to me like I'm looking at this this figure here with the knife drawn over her belly, and I remembered a fairy tale, folk tale, I'm not sure what is it exactly, but basically I read it as a child, of this duck that would give the farmers like golden eggs. Her eggs were golden. I don't know the term you use for ducks giving birth, so but her eggs would be golden. So but they had to wait for a long time, and the farmer got so greedy that he decided, oh, we're just gonna, kill the duck and get the egg out, or the goat from within her, or something like that. And they killed her, and it turns out the egg came out normal when they killed her. So it wasn't the eggs that were special, it was her. And I feel like you make this person feel special, but they take a lot from you, don't let it come to a point where you're metaphorically, right, emotionally slaughtered, and only then this person will realize, and maybe even then they won't realize, oh, it wasn't, what I received from this relationship that made me happy. It was this person that made me happy, or, this person was the special person, not what my ego told me was all about me. So this person might think that their relationship is good, or that they're the golden egg in a way, they're the true goat, and that they are entitled to your creations, to your business, even things of that nature, when that's not the case at all. So there's a lot of like reclaiming your womb, or your creative energy, and reclaiming the fruits of your labor if you don't have a womb, right? So yeah, that's something I'm picking up for your relationships. I'm not saying that this will apply to all of you. Some of you might be in beautiful, healthy relationships, but that's what I'm picking for a lot of the light and starseed watching this who want to live through their starseed blueprint. Okay, your partner is not the special one, it's you. Okay, that's like someone needs to hear this. All right, now let's see what's going on with your career. We have the moon. Your intuition is guiding you right now. With the moon, there are fluctuations in your career, probably, maybe uncertainties if you're on the right path or not. We have the Two of Wands. Yeah, you're definitely thinking about something else that you could possibly be doing. It doesn't mean you have to quit your job, but you could, whilst doing your job, you know, try something new. With the Two of Wands, the Two of Wands is about crossroads. You have two doors and you're wondering which one should I walk through. What's going on in your career? And we have Knight of Pentacles. Alright, so when it comes to your career, you can make this transition slow and steady, is what I'm getting. Your intuition is already guiding you in a new direction, but you don't have to make this huge risk or to basically trust yourself into something that you intuitively know is meant for you, but you're still not very knowledgeable on the topic or in that field. So instead of trusting yourself in the unknown and kind of feeling lost, confused, and most likely giving up because you felt like you failed, rather take it slow and transition into this slow and steady. Now let's do health. Health, wellness. How can you live your starseed blueprint? We have the Magician and we have the Four of Swords. Okay, so first of all, with the Magician for wellness and health, you have the tools available to you. You don't need an expensive gym membership. You don't need some crazy supplement. All the tools you need for wellness, health, mentally, physically are your body weight if you want to exercise, and your mind. Okay, hone the tools you already have. Instead of trying to, you see how he's cutting or something, he's cutting his fingers, right? It's almost like you are telling your body, I don't trust you, whenever you reach out for some external tool to help yourself. To live your best life, to live according to your starseed blueprint, remember, and this may come up in the Akashic records, maybe I'll ask about this because this feels important, but remember how, because the Lyrans, I'm sorry, I'm cutting myself off so much, the Lyrans are deeply linked to the root chakra because they're believed to be one of the first races who established themselves in lower densities and got used to living in lower density bodies. So remember the ancient teachings of the Lyrans. There is something here about ancient natural practices concerning your body and health that really do not require you to spend money or even go anywhere. You can do it in your room. Something about movement. It feels like old movement, you know, some teachings that we definitely have, because us as a humanity, we're kind of like a library of our galaxy and all the races that live throughout the galaxy. But maybe even tune in and meditate upon how to remember how you mastered the physical body as a Lyran. It's very important to master it again as a human, but this won't be done through mastering by, like, you know, controlling your body. It's gonna be done through honing your body to be able to do whatever you want with your body. That is the kind of freedom you're aiming for, not necessarily looks and things of that nature. You're aiming for flexibility, ability. That's the best word. To be able, again, to be able to do with your body things freely as you wish them. Like, you want to do, I don't know, some kind of stretch, you're able to do it. You want to jump a certain amount of, like, length, you can do that. I want you to train your body to be free, you know? Movement that makes you feel free. That's what you want to focus on with the Magician. And let's see what comes through about spirituality to close this reading. What about your spirituality? Knight of Swords and Six of Wands. Okay, so when it comes to your spirituality, with the Knight of Swords, this is about learning, pursuing learning. And with the Six of Wands, there is this desire to show off what you know and what you've learned. Lyrans, you're meant to shine, whether it's through teaching, creativity, whatever it is, you're meant to shine. So don't be afraid to share your research, to speak your voice. I feel like spirituality, to live according to your starseed blueprint, again, we're coming back to, you know, you have to be free to live outside of Saturn. So for a lot of you, spirituality is not going to be about the rules. It's going to be about transcending them, and it's going to be about building your own spiritual compass, especially with the Six of Wands and the Knight of Swords. It's kind of like that free, proud throat chakra. Like, you speak your truth, and you don't care if it's written in an old book somewhere or if you came up with it. That is your truth, your spirituality. So you can always do the research. I see that you are probably doing it with the Knight of Swords, or you're very drawn to it. But remember, you make the rules, okay? So, Lyrans, I hope you resonated with this reading. I hope I'll see you in the Akashic Records extended portion. But if I don't, thank you so much for watching until the end. You can book with me a personal reading through my Ko-fi platform, which is also linked in the description box below. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe to support my channel. I am so happy to have done this reading, and I am so excited for upcoming pick cards and videos on astrology and things like that. So make sure to subscribe, make sure to tune into the channel, make sure to keep tabs on me. I pop up here and there every now and then, okay? So until next time, Lyrans, bye. Hello, beautiful Andromedans. Welcome to your reading. If you chose pile 2, if you chose your image, whatever it is that I put up by the end of this reading, for your image, welcome. So let's see, what is your starseed blueprint? What kind of life did you come here to live and to show the rest of the world that it's possible? Okay, immediately. The Seas of Mintaka, seeing potential, bringing unconsciousness to light. Okay. It's interesting because when I was preparing for your reading, kind of, you know, shuffling my decks so that they can be fresh and all of that, I do this between each pile. I was seeing waters, and I was getting water and air energy. I'm almost getting this travel between places, realms. I'm getting this Hermes energy of the messenger, the traveler, someone who is allowed in places that most of us are not, because you're supposed to get the information from that place and take it somewhere. I was also seeing air spinning the waters or the surface of the water that I was seeing. So there's something about stirring things up. Okay, Pile 2, you are here maybe to be to call out people on their BS. That is part of your blueprint, to basically stir the waters, stir what has been still for a long time. And you know, the idea that still waters breed death and bacteria and all of that, and you are here to stir things up. I feel like a lot of you are here to basically go into the wound, go into the ugly, take the information out of this place and bring it to the surface, share it with the world. But here we see bright, clear, crystal clear, beautiful waters. A lot of you are probably meant to be on an ecological path as well. Maybe specifically working with the waters, like having clean waters, getting rid of plastic, you know, cleaning your local beach or something, or a local lake or something like this. Bringing unconsciousness to life. So yeah, this makes a lot of sense with what I said about going into the womb, going into the ugly, into the darkness, bringing this into the light. So let's see, what is your starseed blueprint? And by the way, maybe I've said this before, but if you see any smudges on my desk, that's because this is where I draw and paint as well, and some of them I can't get rid of. Okay, and it's a white desk, so it's very difficult to keep it completely clean. So let's see. We have Hyret, I hope I'm saying this correctly. Longing for home, homesick for the stars. A lot of Andromedans I've noticed, like, the Andromedans are the most homesick starseeds. But here it feels like we have these hills, or like, well, hello again, because my camera cut off and I filmed this reading, I pulled your cards, it was around 40 minutes or so for this file, and then I realized that I have only filmed 3 or 4 minutes. So this is very unfortunate, and I thought of redoing this, right? But the messages felt so right and resonated that I didn't want to redo it. Instead, I wrote down everything from the cards, everything that I channeled basically is here. I'm going to read all of this to you as I go through the cards, and I hope you just trust me that these are the cards that came out. This has happened before. It doesn't always happen, but sometimes it does, and sometimes I would redo the pile, but in this case I just really didn't want to do that. So yeah, now we're gonna go over every message that came through these cards. So I remembered it cut off right after I pulled this card and started to explain it, so I'm going to put these together, okay, kind of like this, and let's focus on these cards that came through. All right, so with Hyret, longing for home and homesick for the stars, I just had started describing these mountain peaks, or at least to me they looked like mountain peaks, and there is this portal that opens up in the distance. The mountain is a place where one is initiated to hear divine messages, to connect with God, or, you know, a higher power. It's a place that brings you closer to the sky and to this higher power. So what I was getting from this card was part of your starseed blueprint is to remain in contact with your star family and with your spirit guides. This portal, this stargate, if you will, was not random. I really felt like I remember having this vision of how even when you slept, even when you were going about your everyday life, it was almost like next to your ears or around your head, there was this portal always with you, and you would hear messages from spirit, and spirit will also hear your thoughts. I'm gonna get this into this in a minute. So your starseed blueprint is to remain in contact with your star family and spirit guides, since the mountain is often a symbol of a challenge that we need to conquer and overcome. I think for some of you, staying in touch with spirit might be the challenge. I think this message connects to the still waters that I had a vision of in the very beginning of your reading. Remember, the still waters, the air that steers them, etc., and brings things to the surface. So the still waters that were kind of like deadly, and the very, very clean waters here on this card, they are in contrast, and I think that they symbolize how you have to keep your channel clean, your chakras, especially your upper chakras, clean. That's part of your starseed blueprint, to be able to live a life here on earth, go about your everyday life and all that, while keeping your channel open, while listening to spirit constantly. And I feel like for some of you, this is very innate. It happens without you trying. And for those of you who resonate with this message, that this is already happening for you, this is easy for you, the message here is more about you gotta keep it clean so that the messages don't get murky. You may hear information, you may get things, but they might be confusing or murky, and that's what you wanna overcome and work toward. And for some of you, I was sensing that you might be like, that's like the two groups, and watching this, one group is the first I described. Now the second group, I was sensing how you may get distracted by your everyday life, and it's like you have this gift to connect with spirit, but you almost ignore it and you do something else, and spirit is like, you need to stay in touch, because as a messenger, as Hermes, because that's like the archetype that represents you in your starseed blueprint, as a messenger that can access any place and go anywhere and so on and so forth, you're not only bringing messages down from spirit to earth, so you're not just listening to your spirit guides to be informed on what is the next thing that you're supposed to do, and what is this person across the street really thinking about you, or something like that. It's not just about to channel messages downward. You are also informing your star family and spirit team about the state of the planet, the state of humanity. You were almost like some sort of measuring tool I was getting, that tells your star family what humanity is and isn't ready for. A lot of you are planting the seeds for telepathy, most likely, in this lifetime, and you are informing the Andromedan souls about what it's like to be reincarnated on Earth in a human body. And again, where is humanity on the evolutionary scale? So you're also informing the higher realms, informing the akashic record keepers, if you will, about the earthly experience, the earthly ascension, what it's like to be here, and so on and so forth. So you're supposed to listen to spirit, yes, but you gotta keep your channels clean, because you're also communicating with spirit. And it's almost like you're telling spirit what you are also ready for in this human body, right? So your star family is like holding all these gifts, and they are waiting for you to tell them, yes, I'm ready to download this gift, I'm ready to have this gift come online and to be able to use it. But they won't know if your channel is murky, if you're not able to tell them, if they don't clearly know what is happening with you. So this, I've never really tapped into this kind of information, but what I got here from you guys basically is that we think that spirit knows what's happening with us, and we're thinking, why isn't spirit helping me when I'm so desperate and in such need? But it's a two-way telephone, it's a two-way communication. If we are unable to hear spirit, spirit is unable to hear us. If we don't keep our channel clean, your spirit guides, your star family, they won't be able to hear you either, just as you won't be able to hear them. So that was something that came through. And for any of you who like want to manifest your own reality, be the creators of your own reality, you gotta remember that you have to keep the channel clean. Now, you have, the next card was Forge, Don't Follow. And my first like idea and interpretation was, we have a very clear symbolic imagery here of Persephone in the underworld and the land above, right? And how she's in the underworld, she's a queen of it, etc., but she's bound to go back to the mortal land. Again, this card just kind of doubles down on the message that you are meant to stay in touch with your subconscious, that is part of your starseed blueprint, to explore the subconscious, explore the dark waters, go into the wound, basically, your wound, your shadows, but also the wound of the world. Most Andromedans are tied to some sort of worldwide cause, worldly cause to improve things for the collective. So you're not just traversing the underworld of your own psyche. Some of you are doing this, and you're therapist, and you're helping people through that by basically guiding them to traverse their own underworlds. But others of you, this is more so about you go into the underbelly of our civilization, our world, our systems, and you bring all this information that's been hidden to the surface. So in that way, you are a whistleblower, right? Of course, Persephone, the underworld, the mortal land, those are all symbolic of you are the messenger, right? You're Hermes who can travel to the underworld. But it's more so about you will find truths as well as tools and gifts and blessings that you have to share with the world, but especially truths that you have to share with the world. A lot of you are forging new paths for psychics, intuitives, and again, anyone who wishes to traverse the unconscious mind and other realms as well. So for some of you, you could be working as a meditation guide or a hypnotherapist, or even if you are creative, an artist. For example, you could paint like the maze of the soul, and how do you symbolically envision this? And through these symbols, through this imagery, help people navigate their own minds, right? So you can do this, the things that I'm describing, in different jobs, okay? So you don't have to be necessarily an ecologist, this word is evading me again. I don't know if that part was filmed in the first 3-4 minutes, but I was thinking of a word that evaded me in the reading, and it's evading me again. Hold on. It's on the tip of my tongue. It's basically like rebel ecologist, and like humanity can do better for this planet. That's the word I'm looking for, but I can't think of it. Anyway, but you can embody this role in many different career paths, and we're gonna get into career later with these cards as well, specifically career. So Andromeda, I link very strongly to Aquarius and to everything modern, right? Aquarius is about up-leveling, modernizing, and improving the system. So with Forge, Don't Follow, you're not here to repeat what is said in the old books, what the people of the past are teaching you, what the previous generations are teaching you. You're here to share new, fresh, modern insights. You're here to maybe even look at the book that's like a classic in psychology or even storytelling or a classic art technique or whatever it is, and you're here to completely revamp this. You're here to completely innovate it. Now, let's move on to the next cards that I pulled. We have Jupiter in Leo with publicity, Moon in Sagittarius with optimism, and Sun with resourcefulness, Sun in Cancer. So I have quite a bit to say about this. Let's get started. First with this card. Look at this angel figure, how she's pointing at the star. She's also governing Earth, right? And she carries a flag with the sun on it. A lot of symbolism is happening here. So with this card, I see you as a reincarnated guardian angel of Earth. I think as an Andromedan, you saw Earth and you thought to yourself, I want to come here and help this place, protect this place from lower forces. Andromedans have strong angelic vibe usually whenever I've channeled them, whenever I've connected with them, so I wasn't surprised that this angelic figure came through. In fact, sometimes, it's not a theory, it's not something I'm really settled on, but sometimes I've wondered if specifically Lyrans and Andromedans, but Andromedans especially, are like our angels, you know? But that's just a whole another thing. So you're pointing to a star here. This is a representative of a higher ideal. You're here to be an example of someone with higher ideals who actively lives according to them. So many of you can be public figures with the publicity keyword here, and use your publicity or networking to hold people accountable, to inspire humanity to be better. You are guiding humanity toward working with solar consciousness. That's why you carry the flag of the sun, and you're like, it's time that this Earth becomes its own sun so that it can ascend as these other civilizations and stars that we're looking at right now. You're like, you are here to point out to humanity that Earth is on an evolutionary path and we have to bring her up, okay? Every human being is like a feather of the wings that Earth needs to carry itself to these higher realms. So that's what you're pointing here, okay? Some of you will be whistleblowers in the sense of also pointing out to the stars and like our link and our connection to the stars. You have to make your work global. You have Moon in Sagittarius. Now, the Moon does not only rule mother figures, the Moon rules the masses as well. And Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, the planet of wisdom and knowledge. So Sagittarius shoots / aims for the stars, which is very, very interesting here. Or that is the lesson of Sagittarius, right? To shoot up toward the sky, to higher goals, higher ideals, to overcome the animalistic nature of the centaur, of the animal part of the centaur. So you're here to make people dream bigger, have higher goals, pursue their ideals, realize that they're connected to something higher. And again, you're here to globalize your wisdom, to share it with a big, large community. For some of you with Moon in Sagittarius, I can also see you teaching young children, being the kind of teacher who exposes truths and so on, like, you know, demystifying common conceptions about things that are wrong, and so on and so forth. So that's also something I'm seeing here, connecting to possible careers. And by conceptions, I meant concepts, ideas, not conception. Anyway, And finally, we have the Sun in Cancer with resourcefulness. So while here, what is your starseed blueprint? You're showing people how much resources they actually have. You're showing them how big of a thing they can accomplish with little resources. With this card, and the moon in Sagittarius, I immediately felt like, oh, so you are supposed to show people that overconsumption is not good. Like, that's also a part of this lifestyle that you're here to have, to be careful with overconsumption, to be resourceful, right? Instead of wasting resources on being mindless about how you use them, being resourceful and making people also be resourceful. And something interesting I want to point out here. So we have the sun, the moon in Sagittarius, right? The moon is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter. We have Jupiter. Jupiter is in Leo. Leo is ruled by the sun. We have the sun. Sun is in Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. So we have this connection. In astrology, there is this concept. So for example, if Jupiter was in Cancer and the moon was in Sagittarius, they would be in mutual exchange. This concept in astrology is usually between two placements when they rule each other's signs. So they're in mutual exchange. These placements are connected even if they're not aspected. But here you have 3 placements, 3 cards that are in this mutual exchange because they close the circle here, okay? Each one of them inevitably leads to the other 2 and back to the first one, no matter where you start. You start with Jupiter, you have the sun, you have Cancer, you have the moon, you have Sagittarius, you have Jupiter again. So no matter with which one you start, these are in mutual exchange, which I found very interesting. So again, I feel like this is just a sign how connected things are for you, how everything in your life is connected and leading you toward living this kind of blueprint, starseed blueprint for your lifestyle and this lifetime in general. Everything that you do, every big goal, every big dream, every relationship, it leads you back to your blueprint. So I doubt that any of you is unaware of your blueprint. I feel like most of you already know what that is. Most of you already live in this blueprint. Now, the next cards I put, so with tarot, I put cards to kind of give us more specific, precise messages on career, relationships, health, and love. So let's get into it. Oh, before we get into it, actually, I want to read this to you. It's kind of like a summary of all these cards. Your blueprint, your mission is to teach mind over matter, or the power of the mind over reality, and to teach people to believe in a better future, to make people unite behind great causes. So mind over matter is the one thing you came here to embody, live, and be an example of, and also to teach people about the power of a united group. That was coming through with specifically this whole idea about the mutual exchange. And you see, it's good that I wrote it down because now I forgot it. But yeah, this mutual exchange is like you are teaching people that your mind should be your biggest resource to shape reality instead of exploiting reality. And also, if you all gather together for a cause, it's very likely that this cause will be successful. So that's also part of your blueprint. The power of a united group, mind over matter. These are kind of like the sentence summaries. So let's get into your career. We have, first of all, the Chariot with Libra. We have mediation, diplomacy, achieving balance. Then we have the King of Wands with Ophiuchus, with serpents, and knowledge, ethics, integrity being the key words. And then we have Black Hole, drain of resources, dangerous undercurrent. So I will read from my notes. If I repeat anything I've already said, please forgive me. It's usually if I go off track from the notes and kind of get ahead of myself. So the kind of jobs that I see here, the kind of fields that I see here to be a very good fit for you are law, defending through ethics, moral, being a whistleblower, being someone who promotes mindful consumption, creating laws that are more considerate of everyone involved. So you don't have to be like in the law, you know, a judge or something. You could be working in the government, but I saw that some of you would do very well in positions where you like decide what laws to be put into place, enforced, created, or how to change existing laws to accommodate a more diverse group of people. So that's what I saw you doing, and that you would be really good at it. Overcoming prejudices can also be somehow part of your job. Fighting against systems that drain the resources of the planet can be a part of your job. Teacher, here I repeat myself, teacher who exposes false history, demystifies common ideas that are factually wrong, etc. You could be one of those teachers who like goes a little bit into conspiracy theories, and the class loves them because, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. So I definitely could see you in such a position as well. You are here to expose the wound wherever you find the wound. That is going to be part of your job, no matter what your job is. Now, with relationships, you got Hydras and Cygnus. So Ace of Cups and Five of Wands. I sensed here, it was a very interesting message. Not all of you will resonate with this. You don't have to. But I sense that for most of you, your platonic relationships will be a lot more important and dear than your romantic ones. Some of you may not even be interested in a romantic commitment for the majority of your life, or maybe only recently you got interested, or recently you got disinterested, but I'm getting that it's gonna be part of your journey to kind of prioritize your platonic relationships and your community, even the people that you work with, behind great causes as well. And I see romantic relationships being put kind of on the back burner. And I channeled something very interesting. It's not my truth, but it just came through, so maybe you will resonate with it. So there was something about being able to go after higher, more idealistic, more important goals that impact the collective when you prioritize your friendships and platonic bonds. It almost felt as though with those people you can chase higher goals, and that if you get into a romantic relationship, the goals immediately become a bit more selfish, a bit more lower. You know, you want to be with this person, you care more about them than anything and anyone else. It becomes more like individual, or like, oh, I want to, you know, get married, have children, or I want to travel with this person, etc. It's almost like for you, romantic relationships can be kind of a distraction, especially if you're not with a partner who is very much in the same mindset as you about all the things we already spoke of. You know, maybe you've already met these lovers that dragged you down into lower frequencies, lower desires, lower mindsets about the world and reality, and you're meant to rise above that. Another thing that I channeled with the Ace of Cups, you're definitely meant to be with people who, Andromedans, you're not meant to be involved long term with people who don't think like you. And again, this is not necessarily my truth, but this came through for you specifically. I am getting, so with the Ace of Cups and Five of Wands, I'm getting that you will face people that you will be in conflict with, you will sit on opposite sides with, but you will be pouring love into them as you share your wisdom with those people. But you're not meant to be in long-term relationships with the idea of changing someone or helping someone see the world the way you see it, that is quite literally going to drag you down. You're supposed to be with people who pour into you as much as you pour into them. And yes, this applies to everyone, but some of us, some of you may have contracts where you are in a long relationship with people that you show new things to, right? Sometimes this can even be like parents-children relationships. I feel like even if you had children, these children will be maybe even smarter than you. I'm just seeing that you're supposed to be surrounded with people who pour into you, okay? Because you are pouring so much into your community that you will need personal relationships that pour into you, because it's not about putting you on a pedestal, but I'm getting that you need the relationships where people are in awe of what you do and they don't mind giving to you, because you give to them by doing your purpose, essentially. I know it sounds a little maybe unbalanced, but or unhealthy, because you would be thinking, but you know, we gotta be equally giving to each other. I'm giving to them, they're giving to me, that kind of energy. But it seems to me that you're giving to the people around you even when you're not trying to. So you need people who consciously choose to give back to you. All right, that's very important. Now, about health. You have the Hanged Man and the Earth card from the astrology cards. So, Vela, Fate, Guidance, Outside Force, and Earth, Home, Healing, Protection. With the Hanged Man especially, you will constantly have to adapt. One workout routine simply won't do it. Like, there will always be outside forces that will push you in different directions when it comes to your health journey. You will constantly have to pick up new information, new tactics, new tools to deal with your body and with your mind and with your soul, because health can concern those things as well. You need to always switch things up and see what works for you, based on what your soul, body, mind demand out of you. And that will always change. And I think the fluctuations here in health have a lot to do with the constant spiritual battles and upgrades and changes you will be going through. When I saw this card, the Earth, I was like, oh, okay, so your Earth body is basically reflecting all the things that are happening to you spiritually. I feel like a lot of you are working with these higher energies. A lot of you have to be these open channels to hear spirit, to pass on information to spirit, and all of that. Like, your spiritual body is so close to your earthly body. I mean, you're just more sensitive to what happens to you spiritually in comparison to the average person. So you have to take care of yourself spiritually as well. We're gonna get into that here. But it's important to work on your lower chakras. Now, you gotta keep your upper chakras clear, right? And you gotta keep your lower chakras grounded. So you gotta do it all. You gotta work with all of your chakras. There isn't a single chakra that you need to prioritize. Always ground yourself. Always ground yourself. Since you are such an open channel, you're easily affected by outside forces. And here's a fun thing that came through. So I was looking at this card and thinking, what else is here, you know, just trying to see if that was all that I was getting. And then I stared at this apple, and it was a very literal message, almost like a joke from spirit, but eat the damn apple, Andromedans. Like, eat your apples, like quite literally, eat your apples. An apple a day keeps the doctor away. This could obviously be just a reminder to eat fruits and things from the earth, okay, to keep yourself grounded, you know. And that's the thing, with a good diet you can keep your psychic abilities open and feel grounded at the same time, because you're consuming from the earth, not something manufactured. So a natural diet is a really good way to go for you. Some of you may even be fruitarians, but this is not, I'm not telling you that you should be. I'm telling you that these things could work for you well, okay, if you try them, if you're willing. So the Empress and Jupiter came through when it came to your spirituality. So Virgo energy, Jupiter energy. The message here is to hone the mind. Again, keep it clean from clutter and chaos. Whenever you can't meditate, an interesting advice came through when I was filming this originally. Whenever you struggle to meditate, because meditation is cliche, but it's the best way to keep your mind sharp. Fight me on it. It is the best tool. Stilling the mind, quieting the mind as much as possible, concentrating the mind. It's the best tool. There are other ways to be in a meditative state, reading, painting, dancing, but meditation is the best. So, whenever you can't meditate, pick a book and read. It can be a spiritual book. Read it at your pace. Like, you don't have to pick this book and make it a goal to read it or to put it on your to-do list. No. This book would be something that you read very slowly, only when you feel like it, and only when you struggle with meditation, only when you struggle to stay alone with your mind and with your thoughts. Pick up this book. And I got specifically to read spiritual information, not to listen to it like on a podcast or YouTube or somewhere, because when you read in your own voice, in your head, it's much easier to have your own opinions. It's much easier to connect with the information, to see how you feel about it. While when you listen to it, it's almost like you're being told. This is this external truth, like a fact, like it's a fact. Whilst when you read it, you connect personally, and your own voice can protest against what you're reading. But when you're listening and it's someone else's voice, it may be more difficult to process this information on a deeper personal level. So that's why Spirit advised you to read whenever you feel like you struggle developing your spiritual abilities. And other things that can help you develop your spirituality is gardening and cooking. And I heard Spirit say gardening and cooking could turn into magical rituals for you. So don't ignore the potency of something very mundane as well. That's why you're here, okay? You're informing Spirit about the mundane and how to make it magical. So Andromedans, I truly hope you resonated with this. Thank you so much for watching. Now, in the extended portion of your reading, I'm gonna read your Akashic records on Andromeda specifically, so not the other places for the other piles like LYRA, Orion, etc. Solely Andromeda and your Andromedan family, your Andromedan lifetimes. This is what we're going to focus on in there. So I hope to see you there, but if not, thank you so much for watching. Please make sure to like, share, and subscribe. This helps the channel so much. I know I already say it like this automatic thing, but it truly does help the channel, and commenting below also helps the channel so much. So thank you again. I hope I'll see you in my next pick card, and until then, bye. Hello beautiful souls, and welcome to your pile. If you chose pile 3, if you chose Orion as your star family, let's see what is your starseed blueprint and what kind of life you came here to live. So this is gonna be all about your lifestyle, the kind of path you're here to forge for the collective, to make it possible for the collective, to make the collective realize, oh, we can live this kind of life here on Earth. So what is your starseed blueprint pile 3? Let's see. Okay, so I'm having a vision of a crescent moon, and I'm having visions of, I think, like a bow and arrow. So I'm thinking of Artemis, because as far as I remember, she is a huntress and also is connected to the moon. There is definitely something here about animals, intuition, talking to animals, being guided by animals. That's just what I'm picking up on you know, as a first message, but I'm open to anything else that wants to come through. Okay, we have 3 cards. I don't know if I want to take all of them. We, the Hathors, I'm gonna take them. You're not for everyone, and empathic starseed. Okay, so with the Hathors, deep love, mother's milk, birth as a portal. You're not for everyone. Embrace your weirdness, face your true north, and empathic starseed, energetic sovereignty, absorbing what's not yours. Okay, so first with the Hathors, Hathor is sometimes represented or depicted as breastfeeding Horus instead of Isis. So Isis and Hathor sometimes switch around in their depictions. But Hathor, of course, I always associate with Taurus because she's the cow goddess. You know, she has this headdress usually with the horns of a cow, etc. So I usually connect her to Taurus energy. Taurus is all about the material plane. It's all about resources. It's all about also nurturing, because Taurus sits in opposition to Scorpio. Scorpio is malnourishment. Taurus is nourishment. So here with we are the Hathors, deep love, mother's milk, birth portal, there is something about your life path where you are meant to nourish humanity, you're meant to nourish the collective, but also nourish yourself. Okay, that's also something to point out here, because Taurus is definitely your own body, your own self-worth, your values, but it also rules the second house, and it rules your body too. So it's not just about nourishing others. There is definitely a message here about nourishing yourself. Now with You're Not For Everyone, this is a clear message for being outcasts. I'm definitely getting this late bloomers energy here. A lot of you will come into your own, into your power, and into your truth later in life. I'm getting a lot of like indigo children kind of energy. I'm getting this feeling like maybe some of you, even if you don't belong to the older generations, you may feel like you do. There is something about the timing here, when you were born precisely, and there's something about feeling like you were born in the wrong age, and that's why you struggle to relate to people, to connect. That's why maybe you feel like this outlier, an outcast. Or there might be something going on with this idea being born to the wrong mother, with Hathor and Isis, you know, being interchangeable sometimes in their depictions with Horus. There is something here about just being born in the wrong place or the wrong time or wrong family. But I think that the cards here want to reassure you that you're not being born in the wrong anything. Okay, you're born exactly when you were supposed to be. It's just that maybe you were not prepared for the kind of lessons, the kind of life you had to face here on earth. So that's why you ran to these conclusions. But you have to accept that you're exactly where you were supposed to be. I mean, you came exactly where you were supposed to come on this planet, and when you came exactly when you had to. So just kind of clearing this up for you guys. With birth as a portal, I can't ignore that some of you might have been born around significant astrological dates. So there might be some significant aspects, placements in your chart that, you know, oh, this eclipse is very rare, or this kind of conjunction happens very rarely. Something of that nature is also what I'm sensing here. And I'm getting that this is because you're here to play the long game. You are born carrying the energies of something that happens rarely, because you're supposed to almost like carry out this entire cycle until the next time this placement, this astrological, you know, event takes place. It's almost like between each of these events, you know, so let's say Pluto being in Scorpio. Okay, until the next time Pluto is in Scorpio, it's a cycle. It's a cycle that you will have to contribute to big time. So there is something about here being born for this cycle, being born to kind of lay the foundation of this cycle. It is also likely that you will reincarnate again, maybe around the time when you won't have this in your chart, but you will live it physically. Like you will experience the transit of this to kind of have again this closure, this full cycle, this opening and closing of it. I am noticing how she is trying to touch this mirror, and mirrors are very, very similar to portals. So there is something here about traveling through portals, through time, through space. This could be done through astral travel, astral projection. This could be done in meditation, but you're definitely visiting other worlds. For some of you, these can be very vivid experiences. For some of you, they may not be nice experiences. For others, would be nice experiences. But I'm getting that you're definitely seeing other worlds. And even here, she stands at the edge of this, like, it's like a cliff, and she's observing another planet. But you see these lines here, they almost look to me like the ceiling of a spaceship, and it's almost like she's inside this spaceship looking through the glass at the planet. So I feel that you are observing other worlds, you're observing other realities. That is part of your gifts. But maybe you have a difficulty interacting with those realities, doing anything about them, changing the course of events within those realities, within those worlds. We have energetic sovereignty, absorbing what's not yours. Now, I'm gonna dive into this a little bit deeper, the deeper we go into the reading, but please don't get spooked. But there is something here about as you travel, or as you find these new places, these new realities, there's almost this sense of like other energies trying to hijack you or attach themselves to you to get to our reality. So it will be very important for you to build awareness and almost to like train yourself to recognize whenever something gets attached to you. The fact that the Hathors are showing up, you definitely have connections to Egypt. Even here, I mean, this is a completely like distorted image. It's like a crystal or something that is reflected in the mirror, but for some reason to me it looks like a face beneath a mask. I'm almost seeing kind of like the masks that pharaohs have for their sarcophaguses. So that's something I'm seeing here, and there is some connection here to like communicating with another version of you in another reality from another lifetime. I'm still piecing this, but there's something about that here. there's something about wearing masks, having many names throughout reincarnations, as you travel the cosmos. You guys probably have mixed origins. You probably belong to more than one place. In fact, I would even assume that some of you do not necessarily, that's not for everyone, but for some, you do not necessarily hail from Orion. That's not like your origin, but you go to Orion because it's a mix of all of your origins, or all of your, again, all of your galactic incarnations in different systems. It's almost like there is this combination of all of them on Orion, so that's why you connect with it and come back to it, and so on and so forth. We have your not for everyone, embrace your weirdness, face your true north, and here we have the wild rose, do it your way, embrace your uniqueness, being untamed. So with the wild rose, of course, I'm thinking of like having thorns and being beautiful but having thorns. What I'm getting here is that people also, so this is not just you, these are people who try to touch you, try to get to you, be in contact with you, keep you as a friend, but a lot of you feel like you're not showing them your true face in order to maintain the friendship. There is something here about learning to be authentic and learning who you are. Pile 3, I feel like throughout many of your incarnations, you've been so many different things. You've been the good guys and the bad guys, and you've been the person in power, and you've been the person at the bottom of the pyramid, and you've been the person outside of the system and the pyramid completely. I feel like you've played it all. You've been so many roles that it's almost like incarnations for you become more and more difficult each time, because it feels more and more like having to wear a particular mask. And here with, Hathor and Isis, the connection that I mentioned, it's almost like some of you might have been historical figures. Some of you, whatever imprint you left on society, it's like you weren't remembered for it, or someone stole your things. Your name was not connected to your true contribution and the true things you nurtured society with. This Taurus Scorpio axis is all about, I think for you, theft and stolen identity, stolen contribution, stolen beliefs. I'm getting these messages that some of you might have been shamans in past lives, and specifically, I can't really pinpoint what culture that would be, but I know that this was a tradition across many cultures. You would wear those masks of the things you wanted to repel or pray to and attract, and something lingers here spiritually about wearing a mask, becoming something else different than yourself. Perhaps part of what you're here to learn, to embody, part of your blueprint as a starseed is to help people throw away the masks. So I am someone who loves archetypes and symbols and stories and like mythology that haunts us even to this day. We see symbols from different myths, and even in our daily life, even if we haven't read certain myths, like our stories may fall into those like systems and structures, and we may embody different archetypes and so on and so forth. But even as I love these things, what I'm seeing here in the cards for you is you have come to live beyond that. You have really come to live beyond the masks and the confines of that. I mean, for many of us, those things can help us and guide us and lead us, but I think that for you, it only takes you away from your truth, because I think you're walking a very slippery slope whenever you try to fit into an archetype, to fit into a personality that you think is who you are, and you fall into this trap of becoming this mockery of your truth, this reduced, again, mask or symbol of who you are, rather than a truly fleshed out identity. So that's something I see you may struggle with. I'm sensing a lot of you will have Taurus placements, Scorpio placements, but also Libra placements, especially with this mirror. I'm getting something about Libra energy here with you. And whenever I think of Libra, just on this intuitive level, I don't know why, but I think of psychic ability and clairvoyance with Libra. I have tried to figure out where that may come from, but Libras are... there is something about them revealing your true identity, sometimes while they conceal their own. And I think that maybe that was the case for you. In many of your lifetimes, you would reveal the true identity of a ruler, a system, a community, a person, but you would have to conceal yourself, wrap yourself in symbols and imagery that you felt confined you and limited you. So now you're going beyond that. You're going beyond those limitations. And that's why you have twice. Embrace your weirdness, embrace your uniqueness. Embrace that you don't fit in those boxes proposed to you, even by like what we would consider, deep psychology and I wanted to say depth. Deep psychology and like analysis and even spiritual storytelling and all of that. You will have to go beyond that, and you will have to stop wearing different capes, different hats, to deal with life. You will have to find a true self that is just this unison of all your parts, instead of compartmentalizing all of those pieces of you, putting them in different categories and boxes, and neglecting some of them for the sake of honing others. The sun. Interesting, because the sun, especially in astrology, is about this I am, ego and identity. The sun, joy, enjoyment, life force, success, vitality, and play. And we have rapture with sensuality, love, devotion, romance, ecstasy, and pleasure. Okay, let's see. What I'm getting is, for quite some time, your souls have been in almost like stuck in this emotional limbo, or in this emotional indifference, or simply I'm just feeling this like indifference, aloofness, coldness that you have come on earth to overcome. So maybe some of you have the tendency to shut people out, again, wear the mask of like a cold, disinterested person or someone like this, but you are meant to go beyond this. Okay, you're meant to rapture in this lifetime, break free and break loose and let things break free out of you, instead of concealing them under layers and layers and layers of who you think you should be at a certain moment. But I am getting this losing touch with your heart a little bit, with your emotions, and you're learning how to open it again. So for you, pile 3, opening up your heart might be a little bit difficult, all right? But I'm getting that it's an essential part of your starseed blueprint. You came here, I think you came here to experience humanity, to get those pieces of you that were altered back in a way. I think you lived in a time or in a civilization where humanity, you know, uh, con what's the word? Conscience? I think conscience is how you pronounce it. But all of these like emotions and morals and things like that, they were not valued. So I think you got rid of them. Um, and I think you realized how much you needed them, and you came back to gain those things again and gain those things back. We have life force, we have the sun. Now it's almost like you're here to reforge something within you that had cracked and broke, and it's almost like a shard of it, a piece of it you lost. It's almost like you lost a very piece of your truth. I want to say your soul, but that sounds so dramatic. Of your truth, of your true nature, and you came here to remember it again, to forge it back into existence. A lot of you, I think, this is not the first lifetime that you are doing this. I think you've been on Earth for quite some time, and you've been doing this on Earth for quite some time. But what I'm getting is a lot of you climbed, your soul climbed through very difficult terrains. You climbed from a very difficult place up, up, up to come here, to reach this point. So part of your starseed blueprint is to inspire people, inspire yourself to never lose hope. Just as you never lost hope for yourself and you clawed at the world to get yourself back, and you're still in the process of doing that. That's why I think sometimes maybe some of you frighten yourselves. Like, you might be afraid of your own self sometimes and what you're capable of, because I think you on a deep level remember where you got and where you came from. I mean, what you've been through and where you had to come back from, like the places you got to at some point, and the fact that you had to come back from that place. So yeah, definitely Taurus, Scorpio, Libra. It's like remembering your own value, building this bridge between you and your higher self, and this golden sun inside you. But you came on Earth to be raptured emotionally, to like open up the Pandora box and let all of your feelings out, to experience again. That's what I'm getting here. You came to Earth to be nurtured. You know, remember how I started this reading with like, oh, you came to nurture Earth? No, you came to Earth to be nurtured. You came to Mother Earth specifically to be nurtured. So your starseed blueprint is to show that the unhealable can be healed. The unredeemable can be redeemed. That's your blueprint here. That is what you're teaching the collective. That is the path that you're paving. And for some of you, you might be healers, you might be in those fields, and maybe you have a strong moral like, oh, certain things cannot be redeemed. And I understand. But I feel like once you remember that you redeemed yourself in a way by, you know, working so hard for so long, you will realize that everything and everyone can be redeemed as well. So that is, I think, the truth that you are walking toward, sometimes even without realizing it. And that is the truth you are here to teach. That is the blueprint you're here to lay out. I think that you will awaken to not the only truth, but a facet of the truth, that a lot of souls come here to earth to not just to learn, but to repair, to heal. Because there is something so flawed in humanity, but also something so freeing, and there is such a chance to grow by being part of humanity. I think that's why you're here, Pile 3. You wanted to give yourself that chance. And I think you're waiting for a time when you can return to your original, like star system, world, reality, dimension, etc. But before you're ready, you are testing yourself, kind of traveling to these other realities to see how much of yourself that you've become and regained here, can you keep while traveling those other realities. So I think that's why, because once you lost a piece of you and you had to regain it, that's why you may be susceptible, or like energies will target you, trying to hijack you again, link themselves to you, almost fit into any of your cracks. And you have to fill in those cracks within you. You have to fill them with yourself instead of with those other energies surrounding you. So these could be, like different egregores, thought forms, and so on and so forth, making you think and feel certain ways that do not wholly belong to you. You have to fill those cracks. That, like, a crack is like it can be how you think and view life and the world and yourself and all that. And through those cracks, those entities and beings can get attached to us. So when you fill those cracks with your own personal thoughts, with your own truth, those entities cannot get attached. So that's what I see you doing here. What is your starseed blueprint? Can we get a bit more practical and down to earth, please? Wow. You have Mars in Libra, choice. This is crazy because, yeah, it's like what you did defines you, but like what you are does not define you. What you choose to be into defines you. I think that's why you're here on earth, to have free will, to have choice, to not be swayed, or to have your choice matter. It's almost like when you're so isolated, you forget your past lives, you forget everything. Now your choices hold bigger weight, because even through the ignorance, when you make the right choices, it emphasizes even more of who you are, and when you make the wrong choices too. So you came here to have choices, and you have Mars in Libra. It's like coming here was an act of rebuilding the bridge, of showing your soul and your higher self, I'm willing to build back this bridge. I'm willing to remember who I am. And we have the moon in Taurus. And by the way, Hathor, I saw the crescent moon, which is very interesting. Hathor, I think, was somehow connected to the moon, but I don't remember how. I think it's because I link her to the moon because she's like this motherly figure. And we have the moon in Taurus, nurturing. You're here to nurture back your mind, your psyche, which is the moon, right? Your subconscious, with light, with the sun, to remind yourself of all of the good things that you are. I think that you're here to help people see the good in themselves as well, see the light in themselves. restlessness, Mercury in Aries. I think with Mercury in Aries or Mercury in the first house, Mercury is about adaptability, Mercury is the trickster, right? So I think this fits you wearing the mask, but I associate this energy also with being the magician, being to bring thoughts into matter. I think a lot of you also came to Earth in order to hone your mind and your ability to materialize things, because it's so much more difficult on Earth to have a clear mind, a clear goal, to detach, like to do everything right, to materialize, right? We have the moon in Taurus as well, again, the mind and the sign of the physical form. So I think you came here to hone your minds, fill them with light, yes, but also hone them, strengthen them, achieve, like, acquire abilities at a more difficult level. Okay, you came to Earth for a degree, to a degree, for all those other things we listed, but also for strengthening your mind under more difficult circumstances, under more difficult conditions. And we all know, I think, um, when you acquire skills, when you learn something under more difficult conditions, it makes you a better student of it, better learner. It only showcases that you're better than you used to be. It's kind of like working out. You can do the same exercise, but lifting heavier weight every time, right? It's the same exercise, the same movement, and you're being careful at this part, and you're squeezing your muscles at that part, but you're upping the weight. That's what you're doing here on Earth. You're upping the weight, the pressures, and all that to hone even more advanced skills. I feel like wherever you're going next after Earth, I think you definitely have more incarnations on Earth, but wherever you're going after that, or maybe even whatever is ahead of for this planet, you will need that strength of mind. To me, it almost feels like you guys are these warriors who went in the wrong direction, and you came here to kind of heal and redeem yourself and remember who you truly were, but also to become stronger, to fight off, to fight against whatever almost got you in the past. That's what I'm getting here. That's why you're here. You're here to become better spiritual warriors. A lot of your spiritual warriors. I will try to get even more detailed as much as possible, like more grounded, you know. I'm going to now ask with the tarot about your first I want to ask about your career, then I'm going to ask about your love and relationships, then I'm going to ask about your health, and finally I will ask about your spirituality, but I am just deciding what deck I want to use. I think I'm going to go with this one. Let's see. Okay. So according to your starseed blueprint, what kind of career would you be good at? What are you meant for? How can you live your career according to your starseed blueprint? How can you live out your career according to your starseed blueprint? We have the Justice card. I mean, with Mars in Libra, although Mars is debilitated in Libra because Libra is the opposite sign of the sign Mars rules, which is Aries. And Mercury is exalted in Aries, by the way. And now you have justice. And you know, justice requires you to be a moral, an example of morals, as much as you need to be this warrior, you know. You can't, now, maybe that's solely for you, maybe some of you won't resonate, but what I'm getting from this card is you won't be able to really execute justice if there isn't some kind of a threat. I mean, if there isn't some kind of consequence if you go against justice, right? So this is how power can be used correctly. Like, if we want justice, there has to be a consequence if it's abused, if the law is abused. So a lot of you are reinforcers of this. But again, because I feel like you're these spiritual warriors, I wonder how much of that justice is like energetic and spiritual for you. But of course, with this card, I would say kind of similar to pile 2, the law field, the justice field could be a place for you, a place for your career. 10 of Swords. All right, so what I'm getting, I don't know why, but I'm getting asylums here. I'm getting like prisons. I'm getting this 12th house energy, working with people hidden from society, working with people behind the scenes, maybe giving them justice by trying to help them, by working with them. Some of you could be into the criminal field, studying criminals, something of that nature is also possible. But I'm getting that you're meant to give hope for redemption to people who have lost that, who have given up on themselves. And it doesn't have to be, you know, necessarily criminals and murderers and all of that, but people who have lost hope that they can be saved or helped. These are the people I see you working with, the absolute underdogs of society. I also think in career, a lot of you will be advocating for people to not be manipulated by ideologies and things like that. I think some of you might have also some friction inducing placements within the sign of Sagittarius or the 9th house in your chart, because I'm getting that it was your fate or ideology that got you in a bad situation before you came to Earth. So you came to Earth to work through all of this. And I mean, Earth is full of different ideologies, so it was definitely a test for you. And we have the World card. Some of you, with your work, you're finishing someone else's work. Like you're completing something. Maybe you're taking on someone's legacy, someone's like business. That's also possible, but I just see you finishing something, completing something. Maybe you're doing research in a field where a great researcher or, you know, scholar, scientist, etc. Wrote books in that field about that topic, but maybe they died, they never finished their work, and now you're continuing it. There is something about this here where you're continuing where someone else left off. Alright, so what kind of relationships should you live according to your starseed blueprint? What kind of relationships are meant for you? We have the King of Pentacles. Slow, steady, secure relationships. You see that little devil? It's almost like if you're tempted to have everything and go fast, and if you're tempted by like fleeting passions, you're most likely to be disappointed in love. Also, a lot of you in this lifetime will become pillars for communities, for other people in general, but especially for communities, like communities who trust you. You will be the one that they rely on. In this lifetime, I see you taking on a lot of responsibilities in relationships, but I think it's part of your blueprint. Too many cards. The Three of Pentacles. Oh, you will definitely have a relationship where you are dethroning someone, you are beheading someone. That might be a lesson you haven't learned yet, or maybe some of you have, but I'm getting that after this relationship where you basically had to fight for power within the relationship, I mean, because it was taken from you, you had to fight for equality because it was taken from you. I see you never doing this again, and I see you becoming this powerhouse that no relationship can ever tear down. I see you acquiring a lot of skills and wealth and resources to keep yourself safe. And honestly, those are the kind of relationships you want to be in. Do not be in relationships where you have less power, where there's a power dynamic in general. That's something you should avoid. And with the Three of Pentacles, I also do see a relationship where you work together with your partner on something. Now, what should you do with your health according to your starseed blueprint? How can you take care of yourself best according to your starseed blueprint? The Two of Pentacles. Well, I would say balance, you know, and I know it sounds very cliche, but going into the extremes won't help you. Doing something extremely won't help you. Dieting, exercising, meditating, even anything extreme, anything that you get obsessed with will eventually, you know, make things worse for you. So with health, you gotta prioritize balance. You gotta prioritize doing a little bit of everything. Take care of your eyes, take care of your head, take care of, but especially of your eyes. Make sure you moisturize them with like eye drops and things like that. Maybe some of you, your work requires you to stay behind the screens a lot, so make sure you take care of your eyes. There is also something about keep your head safe, so sports where you may get your head hit are not good for you, like boxing, things like that. Not good. Keep your head safe. I feel like it's an extra sensitive part of your body, and you also have Mercury in Aries, which is like the mind, you know, the head, literally Mercury ruling the mind and Aries ruling the head. Yeah, you gotta keep it safe, you gotta protect it. Just take care of your head in general, like your sinuses, your ears, your tongue. It's all connected in the head. The head is very complicated, everything is connected, so make sure things are balanced there. The skull is not random. And finally, what can you do for your spirituality according to your starseed blueprint? How can you develop, you know, connect with, work on your spirituality. We have Five of Pentacles. Interesting. The Five of Pentacles is about, you know, lack of resources, abandonment, things like that. Hold on. Listen, so I'm not saying be poor and live horribly, but definitely be careful and mindful with like physical temptations around money and resources. That might be, you know, something that could lure you in, and something that is just not good for your spirituality and for your spiritual growth. But this is also, you know, with the Five of Pentacles, usually in traditional tarot, we have this house and we have like people outside of the house in the cold, and they are looking through the window, and the window is lit up with light from the inside. But what if the Five of Pentacles symbolized you being inside the house, looking at someone outside of it? Be generous in this lifetime, and not at your expense. Have common sense about this, guys, but when you can help, try and help. Be generous whenever you really feel it, whenever you really think it's the right thing to do. With the Five of Pentacles, don't be the person inside the house who keeps others outside in the cold. That is a spiritual lesson I see you are learning and mastering here. Sometimes maybe you would not, you know, let people in your house because you feared for yourself, right? So you won't help because you feared that you won't have enough for yourself. So that is like a mindset that spiritually you will have to transcend and realize that the universe will provide for you when you are doing something for other people. It's just how it works. Knight of Wands. Spirituality, we have Knight of Wands. We have Eight of Wands as well. Interesting. We have this key inside, unlocking the true treasure here, and we have a castle, kind of similar to this one, but just different coloring, and a storm destroying it with the Eight of Wands. Oh, the Eight of Wands is typically, you know, connecting with higher powers, speaking to the gods, basically sending your message up to the universe. And the Knight of Wands is rushing it. Oh, okay, I'm getting the message here. I think part of your lessons is to stop trying to do everything yourself and build some trust in the universe. I don't know why, probably it's your past lives, but some of you, I think, feel like the universe won't be good to you. So you think that you have to do everything alone, everything by yourself. And I think that the universe is saying here, I can pour light onto you. You think I'm gonna rain down with like thunderstorms, but I'm gonna pour light into you if you let me, if you communicate with me. So here I'm not getting necessarily what to do to improve your spirituality, but rather I'm picking up on advices for like your spiritual lessons here. Okay, you have two big lessons. One is help people and do not fear that there won't be enough for you if you share it with someone else, and trust the universe. Stop thinking that you are cursed or something like this. Transcend those mindsets. Those are very important. So, pile 3, dear Orion starseeds, thank you so much for watching. I hope this resonated. Please let me know in the comment section below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. This truly helps the channel. And I hope to see you in the Akashic Records portion. But even if I don't, thank you so much for being here. I'll see you in my next week card. Until then, bye. Hello, pile number 4 for all of you who chose the Syrian star family. Let's see what is your starseed blueprint, what kind of life did you come here to live, and what kind of path did you come here to pave for the collective. Let's see. Pile number 4. What kind of life did you come here according to your starseed blueprint? What is your starseed blueprint? Baby steps. Action. Follow your intuition before it makes sense. It is... It's interesting. Here we have some staircases and stone, and we have like fireworks, geometrical patterns. I'm just listing those because sometimes when I list what I see on the card, things connect in my mind more smoothly. So baby steps. I feel like a lot of you are here to do something very, I want to say very difficult, but difficult may not be the correct word to use here. I'm getting you're here to do something very different is also not the correct word. Something that I feel very few people would believe in, or very few people would know how to do. It's almost like you can't learn about this thing, you can't read about it from the books, you don't have many examples, so you have to do this thing completely, like to create this new path completely on your own. It's almost like, again, you don't have the teachers, you don't have the books, you don't have examples to follow and prove that it works. You will have to trust with the baby steps, and you have to go about it slowly to be successful. Now, I'm very drawn to this like structure here. It looks like the ruins of an old castle or a temple or something like this. And for some reason in my head, I'm getting something about noble qualities. Something about bringing back the idealization of being noble, being good, having manners and all that. For some of you, your blueprint is to, remind people that being a good person is interesting and it's a cool thing to be. In modern days, we have idealized, or we're looking at villains a little bit differently. They now have a backstory, they have a reason to be bad, etc. And I think we're losing a little bit of touch with someone being good and like being cool because of that. So I think in a way you're here to be good people but not to let people think that this makes you a fool or that this makes you naive or anything like this. I think you're showing the community, the collective, how you can be a good person with morals and values and all that, and still be very smart and still not be manipulated, right? And not having to be a people pleaser to be a good person. There is just something about bringing this heart chakra energy to the collective, this pure, love, this pure light to the collective, and showing the collective that this can also be a powerful thing to hold within, a powerful quality to possess. I'm also seeing threads. This looks like a spider web, but it reminds me of, I don't know why I'm getting like music and like the visual animations or just 3D things being animated for like the background of like a DJ or something. That's what I'm seeing, like a screen behind a DJ, mirroring the music that they're, you know, mixing and matching and all that. So for some of you, you could be working in visual effects, you could be involved with music, you could be involved with visualizing or giving the visuals to something that is like theoretical, or we can't see it with our eyes, we can only study it maybe through machines and all that, but you are giving it a visual interpretation. All right, so a lot of you could be into the fields of technology, and again, specifically technology that interprets what the eyes cannot and what the ears cannot. I feel like you're putting into visuals what we cannot hear and see. This looks to me like, it looks to me like souls reincarnating through this portal and going to Earth. I almost feel like here we have a little glimpse of Earth in the corner, and all of these stars are, or souls are going down to incarnate on the planet. Action, follow your intuition before it makes sense. So part of your blueprint is to not always do the logical thing. Part of your starseed blueprint is to, of course, as you can see, follow your intuition even when people do not agree with you, or even when people tell you that it's too risky, too dangerous. And I think this ties in with the first message that came through, that you're supposed to do something that you don't have proof for. You don't have proof that it works, but you're still supposed to pursue this slowly but steadily with the baby steps card. And again, this card is telling you, keep taking action even when other people do not affirm that you're on the right path, even when other people question and doubt you. The cosmic heart, devotion, potency, make your life a moving prayer. Yes, I definitely think you're bringing forth a lot of heart chakra energy. I feel like you're here to develop relationships and be the kind of person who shows others how to exist in relationships from the heart space, you know, how to spread love and weave love in everything that they do, and to heal each other even with the simplest conversation. So a lot of you are here to turn the simple acts of life, the simple moments of life, into something miraculous and healing and uplifting. So you definitely have like this big goal, big purpose, big plan that, you know, not many people will see before it comes realized fully, and a lot of people will doubt you about. But whilst you're pursuing this, you are also supposed to make the small aspects of your life just as magical. So there is something here about transforming the ordinary into something very healing. There's something subtle about your starseed work. and how you're contributing to the community. Inner Earth, you'll survive this, new solutions and beginnings. With Inner Earth, I think this is a calling that in this lifetime, according to your Starseed Blueprint, you cannot find the validation that you need, or the proof that you need, or the fulfillment that you need externally. You won't find it in the outside world. You won't see the path for you in the outside world. You have to come up with it on your own, almost like coming up with your own art technique, coming up with your own music genre, coming up with your own healing technique or something. You have to come up with something from within without having seen it. Even if you find out, oh, this actually exists, like someone figured something similar out like a century ago, but you will have to get to that without necessarily doing the research, without necessarily knowing that this is even possible. That is the whole, like, this is where you learn your lesson. That's the test, you know, to trust what is within, and to trust that what's within is worth pursuing and it's worth bringing out to the community. With you survive this, I think a lot of you are very sensitive to the harshness of the planet. A lot of you may find it difficult in your daily routine. I'm getting this like 6th house energy versus 12th house energy. Virgo versus Pisces. You want to bring magic. You want to bring, again, miracles, magic, fantasy, to the daily life, to the daily routines, to the ordinary and the mundane. You want to make it mystical and magical. That's why you're here. And I think that your struggle to cope with the physical reality and figuring out ways to cope with your physical reality is your gift. I know for some of you it can be a struggle, but in the struggle is the gift, because of the struggle, within that struggle, the struggle will push you to find those magical things that you can do to completely reshape your life. You're supposed to be one of those people who live such an extraordinary everyday life. They have such a weird everyday life that people are thinking, is it even possible to, like, you know, live in this society like this? So for example, going off on a walk for 3-4 hours to meditate in the mornings, or something, you know. Those are just silly examples, but you're meant to figure out how to make the mundane mystical and magical. You're meant to hear people tell you, you know, I've never seen someone do this like you do it. That's what you're meant to hear. That is part of your Starseed Blueprint. But especially you're here to connect with Inner Earth. And I think Inner Earth can be a true dimension where you can visit an astral projection, astral traveling, and all that. But it can also be a metaphor for, you know, this entire world living inside you. There is so much to bring to the surface. There is so much to tap into. A lot of you have these aquamarine, blue-green auras. Even here we have it, with maybe an edge of like deep blue, kind of purplish. That's kind of the aura I'm seeing for you. And these auras connect a lot to the throat chakra, of course the third eye, of course the crown, but I'm especially interested in the throat chakra here. All the pinks and greens also connect to the heart chakra, so I think that your strongest chakras are the heart and the throat. So with the throat, some of you could be musically inclined, some of you could be public speakers, but there is something about your voice taking people into another reality, whether it's like you singing, whether it's you even hypnotizing people or something like this. I'm just getting your voice is meant to take people off this planet, off this plane. A lot of you might be very powerful affirmation creators, like creating those, you know, videos with repeating affirmations. A lot of you can be really powerful subliminals makers. I see you creating things like that, creating things that are subtle. They have to do a lot with frequency. You could be into the scientific field as well, but there is something about here, frequency, the energy body, the electromagnetism of the body. I see you dealing with those things, studying those things, doing something with those things, okay? And since I myself am not like into those fields, it's a little hard to put specific like labels to it, but I'm kind of trying to orient you as best as I can here. And with inner earth, another thing that I'm seeing for a lot of you is you're definitely meant to create some kind of oasis out of your home and, you know, where you live. Because when I was talking about how you're supposed to live this kind of magical routine, people were supposed to be thinking, wow, I never thought that it, like this is possible, or I've never seen anyone do this like you do it. I kept seeing like a house around water and just around a lot of nature, and when we flipped in on earth, now I'm thinking that this has something to do with building homes or building places that feel magical for people to visit. And your own home should feel like this magical oasis that exists outside of the matrix, outside of the system and what we expect to see. And sure, resources, you know, finances can play into your ability to build such a thing, but what I'm getting is that this will not be a reflection of you having the money to do it. I'm getting a lot of like a self-sufficient house, a self-sufficient household or something like this. I think a lot of you are here to teach about, remember how I told you the architecture of these cards is really drawing me, and I think that the messages are finally clicking together, because I was getting like split things here and there for the beginning of this reading. I hope you stuck around up until now, because what I'm getting here, and now it finally makes sense, a lot of you have come to teach how to build society and civilization, and specifically architecture, and like how to build our environment in such a way that it can be self-sufficient, self-sustainable. And I think that you will do this by being an example with your own home, with your own household. A lot of you here are supposed to like kind of show humanity a different way again to build a different layout for their living space. So some of you could be into architecture, others of you could be into just interior design that kind of again touches those core elements of what sustains a household, and you make it a bit more sufficient, a bit more sustainable. But I do see something about bringing your memory from Sirius about these almost like living, breathing houses and places to live. You're here to show people how to bring a lot of life into their homes. What is your starseed blueprint? What is your starseed blueprint? And when I was mentioning like you're here to, you know, show that it's cool and fun to be a noble person, to have like these good qualities to be a good person, I was just seeing like castles, knights, princesses walking through castles, and that's why I associated it with this. But I think it had something to do with the evolvement of architecture. and how architecture reflected our relationship to the land. So I think many of you are here to revamp our relationship to nature, the land, the planet, by reshaping our environment. A lot of you might be into ecological architecture as well. What is your starseed blueprint? The rose thread, inner call, soul-led, the mystic, living courageously. A lot of you may want to build things that have not been built yet. Maybe like something like a local community of houses. I'm kind of seeing like these domes, and people, like each community lives under like a dome or something. That's what I'm seeing for some reason. We have healing is happening. You're not broken. Trust the process. It's safe to soften. I think that this ties in perfectly with you're here to heal, to make healing feel interesting and magical, and not just this thing that, oh, we have to do, it's our responsibility, etc., etc. A lot of you have lived in temples, temple-like structures, and also in Sirius I'm getting a lot of you have lived in those temples, those like sacred buildings. And again, I think you're just bringing this into this lifetime. Maybe some of you will use sacred geometry as you are planning your own house or something of that nature, or as you're planning other architectural projects. It's like you're bringing old temple technology that the ancients knew here on earth. You're bringing this to modern days. You're making, that's the 6th and 12th house. You're making the place where we, our everyday habitat, you're making our everyday habitat into something magical, something that is energetically charged. I think that's why I was seeing like this as some kind of visualization of the energies and like sacred geometry. That's it. Like you are infusing the energies of the cosmos into the very structures where you are going to live and where people are going to live, with the energies of the cosmos. So you're infusing the structures with those energy through sacred geometry, through building in alignment with the universe, in alignment with the stars, in alignment with the nature surrounding that place. And for some of you, if you're not necessarily an architect or in those fields, I could definitely see you just revamping your house, like little corners of your house, making them magical, trying to do something with sacred geometry, and like guests coming and they're like, oh, this this feels so nice, like the colors here and everything. And maybe you will share with them why you chose these colors, why you chose these patterns, and maybe you would suggest you could do this at your own home too, and watch it change how you feel in your own house, and they replicate that. And those little things, like those little things can really leave a trace for the future generations as well. So please don't doubt your starseed blueprint and its importance, even if it plays out on a smaller scale for some of you, okay? The crowning, initiation, thresholds, birth, rebirth, a seat at the table. So this links to what I had an intuitive feeling of in this card, how these stars were glowing dots are basically these souls incarnating and going to earth. And like here we have these figures climbing the staircase, about to walk through the portal. This feels like a portal of reincarnation. With the crowning, I'm getting a lot of you're supposed to step into, in this lifetime, into some kind of priest or priestess role. Okay, I definitely see that for you. I definitely see that you will be spiritual teachers. I think that there is no way around it, especially for those who are interested in like sacred geometry and the beauty of ancient architecture, but you're not architects yourselves, and you do this as a hobby at your own house, etc. I think a lot of you will resonate with the message of being spiritual teachers, and I think you need to honor that your spirituality in this lifetime is supposed to come through the mundane aspects of life, and it's supposed to affect and teach us about the mundane aspects of life, and again, how to make them magical. So some of you may not necessarily be, you could be, but even if you're not like psychics or intuitives or something like this, I could definitely see you teaching the mysteries to people in such a easily digestible way that you're able to affect, again, their everyday lives, the mundane of their lives, the mundane aspects of their lives. What is your starseed blueprint? What kind of life did you come here to live? We have Jupiter in Taurus with status and the crown and the crowning. You're meant to have some kind of spiritual status among your people. That's something I'm definitely seeing. Or status as a teacher, as a guide among your people, even among your friends. We have Mercury in Gemini with excitement, and we have another Jupiter in Virgo with patience. And look at that. It's like, it's almost like the structure that is not finished completely. And we have patience. So again, this will be a bit of an abstract message, but what I'm getting, especially with Jupiter and Taurus, I'm getting that you're here to be crowned by the earth itself. You're here to love this planet. You're here to love on earth. You're here to dot on earth in a way. And I think that she will crown you in return. Because your body is of the earth, you're most likely to be crowned with health and stability and comforts in this lifetime. Many of you are meant to have these things, the stability, the comfort, so that you can fulfill your purpose, so that you can create or help others create this magical life for themselves. I paused this video really quickly because I wanted to take a pause, like look at the cards, and the final messages kind of came through before we move on with tarot cards. For you guys is you're being crowned. Here we have the crowning, and here we have the crowning. You're being crowned by Earth herself as her vessels. You're vessels of the planet, of Earth, and she will birth through you whatever humanity needs. I think that's why you have Jupiter in Taurus, because we have the crowning and it links here, and Jupiter is about expansion, and Jupiter is also this procreative principle in astrology too. And we have Taurus links to Earth as well as Venus, but links to the material plane. So Earth will birth through you whatever humanity needs, whether those be ideas, whether that is ideas with Mercury in Gemini, whether that is something physical, which I really suspect it is with all the architectural messages coming through. I'm getting you're meant to create something big, tangible, and long-lasting. With Mercury in Gemini, there's something about you're meant to create something that will echo through time, that other generations will also appreciate. I'm not saying that you won't be appreciated now when you're alive, but I'm getting that what you're creating and building is meant to be appreciated even more so in the future. You may get a lot more recognition even in the future, because you have Jupiter in Virgo, and that is about being selfless and noble. Jupiter in Virgo, it's like you're doing something big to serve humanity. And so you have patience, because sometimes we have served humanity, but we pass away, and after a decade or two or a century, humanity is like, oh my gosh, this person from this many years ago, they were onto something. They are contributing so much to this new thing we're just now discovering. That is also something I'm seeing for you as a possibility here. Again, it doesn't mean that you won't, have the recognition now. I think that it's a lot more difficult not to be recognized for something that only later gets recognized, because today we have social media and we have these global communication tools. It was more likely to happen in the past, so I'm just saying that your work will impact generations in the future. I'm just getting how your message, your motto, the message behind your work, okay, will echo through time as a moral standard of some kind, as a value system. And so what I was getting here, as you being a vessel of earth, you can hear the earth, you can hear your own heart and body and earth through your body, and it's almost like you will know what your body and soul need here as physical places. I was hearing the word sanctuaries and healing places, so I think you will know what kind of a sanctuary you need to have available to you, and I think that this is what you're gonna be building. So a lot of you will be building not just, self-sufficient ecological houses or so. You'll be building sanctuaries, temples, if you will, places for people to go to heal. Okay, so yeah, this is also what I was picking up for you guys. Now let's see. I'm going to ask the tarot. I'm going to ask it specifically about your career, then about the kind of relationships you're meant to have, then about your health, and finally about your spirituality according to your starseed blueprint. So what about your career? What kind of career will suit you the best? We already listed quite a few things, but still, what kind of career path will suit you the best according to your starseed blueprint pile for the Syrian starseeds? All right, you want to come through. Wow, we have Pluto, finality, distance, and separation. I see Pluto, I've always seen Pluto as the planet of resources, because it's the underworld where everyone goes after they die, and everyone is like kind of, buried with some token to buy their way into the underworld. So the underworld is a rich place. It's also, we're thinking underground, we have like everything, the most precious resources of earth. Of course we have trees and rivers, but what we trade, right, a lot is like underground into the earth, oil, crystals, gold and all of that. So that's why Pluto and Hades and the underworld are associated with resources too. And it's interesting, we have Taurus energy, we have Jupiter twice. Jupiter is a very kingly energy. We have this like castle thing going on. I think your career path, I feel like you guys won't have a career path, not in the traditional sense. You have a purpose path, and a lot of your purpose is to receive from the earth and reclaim from the earth something that it's almost like it has belonged to you because you have protected it before in your past lives. You are protecting it now as well. I think that the earth will reward you for the ways in which you protect it. I think a lot of your abundance will come from unexpected, unknown places. Um, so your career, again, I don't think it will be a traditional career, and a lot of your, stability in life and like, making money so you can live in this society, a lot of it will come from unexpected sources, unexpected people, unexpected places. And it will all kind of magically come together based on the things that you've done, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, if I didn't do this, this person wouldn't have known and wouldn't have told this other person, and they wouldn't have come to me to pay me for whatever services or thing I provide. So that kind of dynamic is playing out here. We have the sun, rebirth, illumination, visualization. I love that you have Pluto and the sun, because Pluto is like the ultimate darkness and the sun is the ultimate light. So it's almost like, as long as you're shining brightly, as long as you have the rose thread, inner core, soul-led, the mystic. This is like the mystical path. And remember how I told you in the very beginning, you're supposed to do something that people won't see how this will pan out. They have no idea how this will work. No one has done it before, or very few people have done it before. And with the sun, this is a reminder, as long as you shine in your truth, as long as you pursue it relentlessly, miracles and magical resources will show up in your life, and people will be like, where did this opportunity come from? Like, how did you do that? How did you earn this much? How did you sign up this contract? Like, how did this happen? Follow your intuition, even when it doesn't make sense to you or to others, and especially when it doesn't make sense to other people. All right, let's ask, I think we spoke of your career enough. Let's ask about your relationships. What kinds of relationships are you meant to have according to your Starseed Blueprint? What kinds of relationships are you meant to have according to your Starseed Blueprint? Canis Minor, acknowledgement, devotion, and modesty. Interesting. I think you, in this lifetime, you'll have lots of students and probably a lot of teachers too, but I'm getting more so students, to be honest with you. I'm saying teachers just kind of keep you humble, keep the reading kind of humble, but honestly I think that you have a lot of students and a lot of people who will acknowledge you, be devoted to your work, to your cause, to your ideas, and yeah, that is like, those are the major relationships I see here for you. A lot of people who are like, your work it's like the seeds of your work are planted in their work. You see what I'm getting at here? So let's take, because we have Mercury and Gemini, let's take literature for example. So there would be this one established author who revamped the genre, whatever genre it is, and then another author in the future followed in those steps, and they would put like references to this other great author's work, just to kind of honor them and see here, this is my inspiration, kind of to say to their audience, this is who taught me, this is who I admire, this is who I respect. I see this kind of relationships that you will have with your students and with people who have worked with you as well. So a lot of devotion in your relationships, a lot of, oh my gosh, you changed the way I see things, you changed my mind, my outlook, you changed me and my life. That's the kind of energy I'm getting here. Canis Minor and Ursa Minor. So the small dog, the small bear. Six of Swords, identity, essential nature, and awareness. All right. A bit of a struggle that you may have, especially if you're a teacher and especially if you have students, might be losing your identity or struggling to remain yourself, remain authentic, or remain unique if so many people take after you and so many people are inspired by you. But this could also be a relationship that you have with an old teacher. And that's why some of the very first messages were like, you won't be able to read about what you're meant to do in the books. You won't have examples. I think some of you might have a teacher in life, and maybe you struggle with this, like, I don't want to be like them, you know, I don't want to copy paste who they are and what they've done. I want to be my own self. And I think that this is gonna come full circle when you start teaching whatever you're learning now, or maybe you've learned already. It will come full circle when you have students that admire you as much as you admired this one person. But I think that how you will resolve this, move on from this struggle, is realizing that you're not here to replicate anyone's work. Even if you've learned from them and like got inspired by them, you're not meant to replicate or continue someone else's work. You're here to blaze your own trail, and you will be the kind of people that other people look up to. But I'm not diminishing the role for, you know, you can be the most unique trendsetter and still have teachers and inspirations. But I'm getting that to resolve the struggle, you have to do something that maybe your teacher wouldn't trust, or maybe your teacher or whoever inspired you said, that's not a good idea, I would never do this. Maybe you're meant to do that. Maybe some of you are meant to go against the teachings. And it's interesting how we have Jupiter twice and Earth signs twice. Like, there is something here about you respect someone so much, you respect something of the past so much, but you realize, I'm not here to replicate this, I'm not here to continue this tradition or legacy or way of thinking. I'm here to change it. Even though I respect it and I see the value in it, I'm still here to change it. So in relationships, there is something about respect your teachers, but don't limit yourself, you know, and respect when people teach you things, but don't limit yourself to their outlooks on life and ideas and so on and so forth. Talking about teachers, traditions, you have the freaking Hierophant. Like, it doesn't get any more traditional than this. Taurus, traditional ideology, systems, ownership. You are meant to become a teacher who transcends most systems, you know? That's it. Like, and again, even if you build these sacred places and all that, even if you're an architect and all that, I think your ideas are gonna be something that people see as something to learn from. That doesn't make sense. People, you don't have to be, some of you will be teachers and priestesses and mystics and intuitives, but even if you're not, even if you do something tangible, as I saw, because I'm kind of like reading two groups here, which is normal because I expect a lot of people to watch here, you know, more than like 3 people, so that's what I mean by more people. So even if you do something tangible, like you're a builder, an architect, something like this, it's gonna be the ideas behind what you do are gonna make you a teacher. What inspired you to do this? Like, the beliefs you had that inspired you to do this are gonna make people see you as a teacher or as someone to look up to. I see some of you will be these reluctant or not intentional teachers, you know? So kind of like how some artists, they had this philosophy behind their art, and someone may resonate with the philosophy of someone more so than, you know, the art that they created, but rather the philosophy behind it. I'm thinking of, I think he has a lot of like written materials too, but I'm thinking of Vasily Kandinsky. His art is like this abstract, you know, these abstract ideas, but he speaks of like the abstractions and the symbols, they have like these spiritual meanings. So let's say you're like that, someone can see your art, but they resonate with the ideas behind your art more so than the art itself, or the creation, or the architecture, or something. Now, how can you take care of your health according to your starseed blueprint? How can you take care of your health according to your starseed blueprint? Oh, I pulled 2 accidentally, but that's fine. And we have 2 horses. I love that. I mean, here you have a Pegasus, but that's fine. Wheel of Fortune and... I mean, it's the same, the Pegasus and the horse. The Wheel of Fortune, the 8 of Cups, Pegasus. And here we have Equilius, I think is the correct way to say it, but I'm not sure. Hiding from judgment, insecurity, and gratitude, nourishment, potential. How to take care of your health. With hiding from judgment and insecurity, please don't... I don't know why I'm getting something here about starvation. I'm gonna be very frank and honest. These horses, I don't know, there's something here about like... especially with the 8 of Cups, you know, walking away from nourishment, turning your back on it. And with the Pegasus, we have gratitude, nourishment, potential. Wheel of Fortune. Do not run away from your greatness by over-fixating on improving yourself, especially looks-wise. It almost feels like it's an escapism of a sort. Trying to do something extreme, to look a certain way, rather than pursuing your goals and dreams. I don't know, but this is coming through just so clearly. And I'm sorry if I'm being a bit too direct. I'm sorry if this is a sensitive topic, but I'm really getting this. And for some of you, it could be some kind of like spiritual purification that you do of the body, chasing some ideal by a doctrine or a system, that a doctrine or a system is trying to like convince you this is the ideal, this is how you should eat and sleep and all that to get closer to a higher power. Absolutely not. This is a distraction for you guys. This is something that distracts you from actually dealing with the important things of life, from actually doing something meaningful for yourself. So do not walk away from nourishment. Do not walk away from love. Do not walk away from abundance. Do not walk away from support. That's how you take care of your health, by nourishing yourself. Never starving yourself physically, emotionally. You need to have a little bit of fun. Go have fun. You need to... and you have a lot of Jupiter, so I'm not encouraging excessive indulgence, but I feel like you have struggled with one polarity or the other. You have to find some balance here, but it's most likely that the moment you stop denying certain things and villainizing certain things and giving your body access to those things, and of course we're not talking about deadly things and deadly substances, please. I always feel like I have to clarify, so I don't get words put in my mouth, although most of you never do that, but still. But like normal things, regular things, the more you villainize those and deny yourself access to them, the more you would go between the extremes. So please allow yourself access to what nourishes you physically, mentally, emotionally. And sometimes you may have to endure a period of needing those things a little bit more, and you may feel like you're being greedy, but you're just giving back your body what you've denied it for so long. And once your body feels safe again, you're most likely to have normal, regular desires for those things again, whether that it be food, relationships, having fun, consuming certain medias, like whatever that is, movies and music. Maybe some of you are, oh no, I'm gonna do dopamine cleanse and I'm not gonna listen to music, but that's what inspires you to paint. And so you can, try to limit your consumption of things that you believe or, corrupting you in some kind of way. But don't go extremely on this, especially if you read a spiritual book about it and now you think it's gonna make you more spiritual. It most likely won't. It most likely will only ruin that sixth house for you, that routine, that earthly experience, and it will take away the magic by making you hyper fixated on the earthly stuff. You can't achieve, the 12th house transcendental experiences when with sixth house like physical obsessive things, right? So for example, again, starving, not watching movies, not listening to music, all of those extreme things, or saying no to them completely, that will not lead you to spirit. It will only make you hyperfixate on the material plane. So that is the paradox here. You think you're becoming more spiritual, but actually you're just hyperfixating on your flesh. So taking care of your body, you will have to nourish yourself. Now let's ask about your spirituality. And it's funny, but usually health and spirituality are very often in almost all the piles connected. So let's see. What do you need to do spiritually according to your starseed blueprint? What do you need to do spiritually according to your starseed blueprint? Mercury, business, salesmanship, and fabrication. And the devil, Andromeda, burden, baggage, self-oppression. This is crazy. Mercury rules the lower mind. I think a lot of you might be afraid of the quote-unquote lower mind. You might be afraid of, thinking about the mundane, taking care of it. With so much Jupiter, perhaps you're trying to have an elevated experience with everything, which it is part of your blueprint to make your daily lives magical. That is true. But there is something about it's almost like you're gonna make them magical if you accept them and embrace them as part of life rather than running away from that. So running away and hiding in a cave, being this hermit, will not make your everyday life magical. Does that make sense? You're here to show people that they can be humans, they can live on Earth and still have magic in their everyday lives. But that's not how you do it if you run away from the everyday life and close yourself with philosophical books and meditations and hide in your little cave. So with the devil, this self-oppression message, I think it immediately links to the messages I so far told you on your health. So part of your spirituality, you will connect with your spirituality and your gifts the moment you release this need for self-oppression, this need to judge your humanness. There is something about Jupiter, Sagittarius being like God and the higher power and the higher mind and philosophy, and Mercury and Gemini being the humanness, the human part of us, the lower minds, the factual basic information that we deal with every day. You need to stop running away from it, and you need to stop self-oppressing because it only burdens you spiritually. You need to be, the more playful you are, the more magical it will be, okay? I'm trying to see if I'm getting anything else here, but I feel like the messages from these cards came through these cards already. So I'm gonna end this here, close the reading. Thank you so much for watching. I would love to connect with you in your Akashic records in the extended portion, but if not, thank you for watching, and I hope I'll see you in my next pick a card. I hope this resonated. In the beginning it was a little bit slow, the messages were a little bit confusing, but I think they came together nicely at the end. I always try to make it as coherent as possible, considering that there will be different people watching this. So thank you. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. This really supports the channel, and I will see you soon. Bye.